So the first question was write 6 to the power of it was 6 to the power of minus 2 and 81 to the power of a half without using indices. Now 6 power, basically if you find yourself stuck in the leaving that you don't know what to do, just go to the calculator, and sometimes even if it's the wrong thing to do, okay, it's always worth the gamble. It's better than putting nothing down or being unsure. The answer to that question is 1 over 36. Just 1 over 36 goes directly into it, David, once you use the calculator. Okay. The next question is 81 to the power of a half. Okay. So you have 81 to the power of a half, and you just use the fraction button, and it turns into 9. To the power of half means square roots. Alright, so guys, that was your first 5 marks. Okay. Now, after that it goes scientific notation. Okay, it goes express 2 to the power of 24. Now, 2 to the power of 24 means you're multiplying 24 2's together. 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. 24 times, okay? Now, what you can do there is you can put that into your calculator, and there's 2 different ways of doing this. One way requires you to remember methods. The other way requires you to remember a calculator setting. Calculator setting is easier, but I'm going to show you the full method anyway. This is 167, 1637s and 216. So 16777 216. Now you'll see that it wants it presented in the form. They'll go express in the form a by 10 to the power of n. So what we're going to do here is we have to change this value here into a number between 1 and 10. So you just keep dividing by 10 until you get a number that's between 1 and 10. So you're just going to divide by 10 and you're going to count how many times you need to do it. Okay? Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. It takes 7 times to divide it down into a number between 1 and 10. That number is 1.67777216. Okay? So it's 1.6777216. The question says 3 significant figures. Now, to introduce you to significant figures again, I'm going to show you a couple of numbers that have significant figures in them. Okay? Very important that you know this. Okay? Significant figures is this, guys. If I wrote down this number here, how many significant figures is there? 2. Okay? If I wrote down this number here, just 2. If I wrote down this one here, it's actually still 2. And here, still 2. Okay? So zeros at the end, like 32,000s, only the 3 and the 2 count as being a significant figure. What else is about significant figures is, I can show you some decimals, okay? This one has 2 significant figures. This one here has 3 significant figures. Zeros count when they're in the middle. This one here also has 3 significant figures. However, when the zero is at the end, it doesn't count. So this one here has 2 significant figures. That's how significant figures work. Okay? You got to remember that. Okay. Now, basically it wants 3 significant figures. I have too many here, so I have to round up. So it's going to be 1.68 by how many 10s did we divide by that time? 7. Now, there is an easier way, okay, to get to this point. All we got to do is remember a calculator mode. Okay? Anytime you see that a by 10 to the power of n, that's known as science mode. Okay? So you go to your calculator, and when you go to your calculator, you go to setup, shift setup, and you'll see science mode is number 7. Okay? and you just pick 0. Okay? And what you do here is you put in 2 to the power of 24, like I wanted at the start, 2 to the power of 24. And what you get there, see the way it's already done it for you? You have your 10 sevens already. So it says 1.677 by 10 to the 7. Then it's up to you to round up to 1.68. And that's how you do that one. That one went for 5 marks as well. Okay? Everybody alright with that? Okay. Next question, guys. Part C. It's going to be a by root a cubed divided by a to the power of 4. Now, just to quickly revise this, okay? Anytime you see a square root sign, it can be the square root sign of anything. I might ask you root 25, and you guys will say the answer is 5. Another way of writing that into the calculator is 25 to the power of a half. So, square root sign and power of a half, they mean the same thing. Okay? The next thing I might ask you would be this. What's 3 to the power of 3 multiplied by 3 to the power of 4? Can anybody give me an answer for that?
3 to the power of 7.
3 to the power of 7. Because there's 3 trees and there's 4 trees. And when you multiply them all together, you get 7 trees. That's the second rule. The third rule is this. The third rule is if I had 3 cubed to the power of 4. Now please look at the difference between the last one I did and the one I'm doing now. What does that mean? It means 3 trees, 3 trees, 3 trees. It means 4 of them. And if I have 4 of them, how many trees do I have in total? Each one has 3 in them. So how many do I have in total now? Anybody know how many trees I have? I have 12 of them. You multiply for this one, but you add for that one. Okay? So I have 12. Now, with all this in mind, there's only one other thing we got to do now. It's division. If I have 3 to the power of 7 divided by 3 to the power of 2, can anybody tell me what the answer is there? 3 to the power of 5. You take them away. If you don't remember it, just write down 7 trees. Okay? And then write down 2 trees. And then just cancel them off. And then what you'll have left is 5 trees. 3 to the power of 5. Or the easier way is to take them away. All of these formulas are on page 21 of your match tables. They're all there. Okay? Now that we understand our basics, what we need to do is we need to go on to the question at hand. This is a to the power of 1. And what did I say square root of a is? A to the power of a half. Okay. Now, what is a to the power of 1 multiplied by a to the power of a half? What's the rule for that?
A to the power of 1.5.
1.5, because you're going to add them together. 1.5 is 3 over 2. They're the same thing, okay? Now you're at this stage, and what you're going to do next is you're going to be asked, we're going to use this rule here. You're to multiply them. So what's 3 times 1.5?
9 over 2.
Yeah, it's 4.5, which is 9 over 2, you're right. Okay? 9 over 2. So it's going to be a to the power of 9 over 2 divided by a to the power of 4. Now what's the next step? It's the take away rule. So it's going to be 4.5 minus 4, which is a half. So the answer is a to the power of a half. But you said earlier that a to the power of a half is the same thing as root a. So they're the same thing. Yes, Ken?
Here's the question.
Ready? Connor? Okay. What we're doing next is 1D. Okay? 49 to the power of x equals 7 to the power of 2 plus x. And I want you to solve this. Now guys, a solved question, how does a solved question always end? How does it always end? Whatever letter is there. If it's an x, you're going to end up with x equals something. You might have two different answers, or you might have one answer. If this has y's in it, and it's a solved question, you're going to end up with y equals something. Keyword is solve. Your answer always has to be x on one side, and some number over the other side. It has to end up that way. Now, to do this, okay, what they're always going to do is they're going to give you numbers like this. They'll give you numbers like, I'm trying to think now. They'll give you numbers like 3, 6, 3, 9, 27, 81. The other set of numbers they'll give you is 5, 25, 125. They also like giving 7 and 49, and then after 49 there's going to be, have to multiply that by 7, 343. Does anybody know where I'm getting these numbers from? Where am I pulling them out of? Powers of 3. 3 squared, 3 cubed, 3 to the power 4. Okay? 5 power 1, 5 power 2, 5 power 3, 7 power 1, 7 power 2, 7 power 3. Now, the way you always do these is, you look at the smaller number and go, is the smaller number, can that be powered, can I put a power onto it that turns it into the bigger number? So, basically what I'm trying to ask is, can you write 49 as a power of 7? Change 49 into 7 squared. Leave 7 where it is. Now you're to apply your rules. What rule is this one? Remember we did it earlier. 3 to the power 2 to the power 3 is what?
2x.
Yeah, exactly. So 7 to the power 2x. And this one's 7 to the power of? 2 plus x. Now that means that this one equals, the powers are equal to each other because the base number, which is 7, is the same. So 2x equals 2 plus x, and then we bring it over to the other side, and we're going to get a 2x minus x equals 2, and therefore x equals 2. Okay, that's it. Alright, so guys, question 1 was our weakest question by a mile. You were pretty good elsewhere in the test, so this is the one that cost us, in some cases, 20 to 25 marks. Okay?
How do you get out of that sign thing?
To get out of science mode for the next question, what you need to do is you go back to where you found science mode, shift, it's your setup, and you'll see normal beside it, and normal 1, and you're back to normal again, okay?
Which question did you have to use the science mode?
Question 2, okay, we did relatively well on this section, and what's a dead giveaway. Sometimes some people do big X for this, okay? So Keane, this is a solved question, okay?
We're told.
And the reason why you know it's a minus B is it'll say two things. It will either say decimals. If you ever see decimals, you know it's a minus B. If you ever see surds, now what I mean by surds is something like this, like A plus or minus B root 2. That's surds. That means you're also going to use the minus B. And there's one thing you always need to remember about the minus B. It will always work. It doesn't matter if it's a decimal surds question or if it's a normal answer. Minus B is guaranteed to work, provided it's a solved question. Has to be a solved question. Okay? We're going to do the minus B formula. If you forget the minus B formula, what you're going to see in your notes is this. You're going to go to your algebra section, and what it will show you letter for letter is this formula in red on the board. And you're going to have to figure out, how do I go about using this? In the A's position is what? 1. A is 1. B, minus 6. C, minus 23. Now, what I'd really like to see you guys is, I'd like to see is letting the calculator do the majority of the work for this. Okay? Because you're making a lot of easy mistakes on your own. Well, if you just learn how to type it into the calculator, the mistakes simply can't happen. So I'll show you now how far you need to go. Okay? Minus B is plus 6. Okay? 6 plus or minus the square root of. You've got to use brackets. If you don't use brackets, it goes wrong. Use brackets. So you're going to have minus 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times minus 23, all divided by 2a, which is going to be 2 times 1. Now what I'll always tell you guys to do is just do this part first. Okay? Everything in it goes into the calculator. So you're just going to have the square root sign of minus 6 squared minus 4 times 1 bracket minus 23. And you can see that the answer is 8 root 2. Okay? And here comes the really easy part. Once you get that 8 root 2 out, there's no reason for any mistakes from this point onwards. Calculator does everything for you. Okay? Don't bother it with yourself. It's a test. You're going to have time. You will have time in your leaving cert. Just take that extra 30 seconds. Start off with the fraction button. Now see the plus or minus. Just do one of them at a time. Okay, so 8 root 2, all divided by 2, and there you get 3 plus 4 root 2. If one of them is 3 plus 4 root 2, what is the second one going to be? 3 minus 4 root 2. Now if you aren't happy about that, you don't need to redo everything, you can just
put the 2 in there.
Sorry?
2 answers there, plus and minus.
You can do that at the very end. And what you can say now is that A is 3 and B is 4. Jordan, you had the question, did you? Or sorry, Jack? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
So what you're going to see here, guys, is 2B. Okay. Now I'm going to show you a regular simultaneous equation. Okay. I'm going to show you the answers in advance. X is 2, Y is 3. Okay. I can write it like this. X plus Y equals 5. And then my next equation is going to be 2x minus y, let's say. And what's 2x minus y? 6 minus 2, which is 4. So if I was to give you the question in the test, I would say, this is all I'll give you. Solve this. Now, this is the ones you did at junior cert. You add them directly downwards, and what happens? You're going to get 3x equals 9. X equals 3. Then you're going to substitute back in, find the y value. That's grand, right? Now, if I give you one like this, where I'm still going to use the x plus y equals 5, that's no bother there, I don't mind doing that. But I'm going to do it like this. X squared plus y squared. Now guys, x squared plus y squared is going to be 9 plus 4, which is 13. Now see this question here. You cannot do this question in the same way I did the one in red. How do you know that you're not allowed to do it the junior cert way anymore? There's a squared in it. Now there's one other type of question I can do that also completely disallows the junior cert method. If I have x multiplied by y, that also completely disallows the junior cert easy method. So you're looking for x squared, y squared, or x multiplied by y. Now that brings us to the question. That brings us to the question we're talking about in the test, okay? 2r minus s equals 10. Okay, everybody's happy with that. It's a standard one. Now the next one is rs minus s squared, and that equals 12. Okay? We can see that it's a quadratic one. Okay, so the way we did it at junior cert is out the window. You're not allowed to go near it. To get 8 out of 15 marks, and I'm talking 8 out of 15 marks, which is over 50% of this question, all we gotta do is this. Go to the one that's not the quadratic and get one of the letters on its own. Which letter should you pick and why? Can somebody tell me which letter? You have two choices. You could bring the s over to your side and you could say 2r equals 10 plus s. Still won't get your 8 marks. You got to get r on its own. Divide by 2. 10 plus s all over 2. You're correct, but the next part is going to be too difficult if you do that. What I suggest is you take the other route. Bring the s over the right hand side, bring the 10 over the left. And what you're going to get is 2r minus 10 equals s. No fraction, no problem. Okay? Now that that's done, what you're going to get next is you're going to substitute anywhere you see s, you now replace it with 2r minus 10. So you're going to have r bracket 2r minus 10 minus 2r minus 10 squared equals 12. Is everybody happy with that? Okay, next thing, 2r by r, 2r squared, r by minus 10 minus 10r. Here's the tricky part. The tricky part is there's a minus 1 here. And I've told you this in the past. I need you to put whatever the answer of this is in a big pair of brackets. And that will basically stop it from you making a mistake, okay? So, what does 2r minus 10 mean? Well, sorry, 2r minus 10 squared mean?
2r minus 10 by 2r.
Okay, 2r minus 10, 2r minus 10. Right, multiply it out. 2r by 2r. Okay, 2r by minus 10. Minus 20r. Minus 10 by 2r. And finally minus 10 by minus 10. Plus 100. Now here's the part you made the mistake on, okay? Everything that I've written here, you now have to multiply it by minus 1. Because that minus 1 multiplies in by whatever the answer is. So you can save yourself a bit of time, and now you're just going to write down what everything here is when you change the sign. Minus 4r squared, plus 20r, plus another 20r, minus 100. And what about that 12? Where can I take that 12 to? Bring it over to the other side as minus 12 equals 0. Okay? Now guys, you have 3 types of numbers. You have r squared, r's and regular numbers. Yes, Kevin? Now, what happens next, guys, is 2r squared minus 4r squared is what? 2r squared minus 4r squared? Minus 2r squared, okay? Then we're going to have 40r minus 10r gives you plus 30r. Okay, and minus 100 minus 112 is going to be minus 112. Okay, problem here. What's the problem if you're doing this? Not so much that. That could be one of the problems. It's a minus. We don't want that. So how do I sort that out? Multiply both sides by minus. Now guys, in a test, you could do the minus b formula right off the bat here. You could say a equals 2, b equals minus 30, c equals 112. You get the correct answer, no bother there. Problem is, it takes a bit longer. What you could do as well is you could divide everything by 2. And what happens if you divide everything by 2? You get 15, or if you want to know, my opinion is the minus b is the safe bet in your exam. Okay? But if you want to do the factorization route, what 2 numbers, reference number is 56, what 2 numbers multiply to give you 56 but add together to give you 15? 8 and 7, and they're both negatives. So you're going to have, what's the next line, if you don't mind me asking? You've done this since junior cert. R in here, and then minus 8, minus 7, R equals 8, R equals 7. Now lads, what we got to do next is we got to put that into the S formula. What did we say S was earlier? 10 minus 2R. Or sorry, 2R minus 10. Now, there's 2 different answers. If there's 2 different answers of R, there's usually 2 different answers for S. Usually. Doesn't have to be. So what we're going to get is S equals 2 times 8 minus 10. S equals 16 minus 10, which is 6. S equals 2 times 7 minus 10, which is 14 minus 10, equals 4. S equals 4, S equals 6. Okay? So, there's something else I need to show you here, okay? What they can sometimes ask you is this. They can ask you a question. This question can be presented like this. The quadratic equation, yeah, is always represented by some sort of curve. The linear equation, the one that has no x squareds, no r squareds, is always represented by a line. And what they might ask you guys is, they might go, what are these 2 points here? And you know, it has to be x, y when they do this to you, by the way, right? It won't be rs, it'll be x, y. So what you'll say is that your 2 answers will be something like this. It'll be like, in this question, it'll be something like 8, 6, because 8 goes with the 6, and your answer is 7 and 4. But in the test you weren't asked that, but what I'm saying is they can ask it that way, by graph. Okay? Yes, Harry?
Why will always be x and y?
Sorry?